I'll get started now so people can join if they need to. The session is recorded either way. But look, thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate that um, taking your time to go through something like this is important. For us, every quarter we put together a new market report. What we'll be talking about today is our 2025 Q3 market report, which has insights basically around the market, as well as some recruitment challenges that we're seeing here at Vinova over the last 3 months. So to give you sort of some context in terms of where this information comes from, we're a team of 5 recruiters across development, engineering, construction, finance, commercial and investment, which speak to around 50 clients and candidates a week from meetings and phone calls, which we use to collate the information, mainly around the recruitment challenges and stuff that we're seeing. All the information around sort of mergers and acquisitions, investments, come from and are public information. We also use reports like the Clean Energy Council. So I'll give you a quick run through in terms of what we're going to cover. So firstly, give you an overview of what the market looks like at the moment. Some information around the energy transition job market, our market analysis, funding and investments, mergers and acquisitions, representation of women in the energy industry, employment trends, the issues that we're seeing, and then a quick snapshot of the capacity, as well as a quick REM review at the end. But we won't go too much into detail on that. So to go through how we've seen that the market is very positive. Not too much has changed since our last market report. It has been very steady, and there's been a few factors covering that, including the election. We found that a lot of the developers and clients that we were working with, especially in the finance space as well, were sort of slowing things down to see what the outcome of that would be. However, in the last 3 months, there has been some significant milestones across policy, as well as some projects that are due to kick off or have started, including Project Energy Connect, the Waratah and Eraring battery, and most recently, I'm sure you've seen, the ACERES hit FID for their first renewable energy zone. So all in all, there's some big wins there that will generate a lot of jobs, and that's across construction, development, environmental, pretty much across the full life cycle. So how we're seeing the job market, it's currently tough for clients. At the moment, there is a talent shortage. Not being able to find the right people can really halt progress on a project, especially if you're looking at a construction project that's based in a regional area that requires 300 people to be on site to make the project move forward. We are seeing a big change around sort of FIFO roles and blue collar and white collar roles in that space, as well as specialist sort of development and engineering roles are what we say are sort of always in demand. We know of 90 projects that are due to hit FID and move into construction this year. So as you can imagine, that is going to soak up a lot of resources and a lot of time. Wider picture, the current economic situation has been difficult outside of renewables in areas like IT and technology, where the job market's not been positive for the last 2 years. It has had an uplift, and especially with things like the ease on interest rates, that will hopefully and bring more positivity to job changing when your mortgage rates are lower and people's families can move jobs a little bit easier. So where we're at in Australia for renewables, the market, to hit our goal, we need to move from 20,000 in the workforce to 60,000 by 2023 to meet our targets. So there is a lot that needs to happen. Across funding and mergers, I'm not an expert in this space. This is public information, but in the 2024 itself was the biggest year in investment for renewables, $9 billion in Australia. In the last 6 months across M&A, we've seen some really big deals go through, especially with HMC Capital's acquisition of Neoen, buying all of their Victorian assets. AGL acquired Firm Power, which was a battery developer, to help them bring those batteries through to construction. Outside of this, there's been Aegis, which acquired Pericon, around that renewable energy engineering, and then BP's full acquisition of Lightsource, which happened towards the end of last year, which they acquired the last 50.03% stake in Lightsource. I'll hand you over to Katie now, who'll give you a run through of sort of women in the market and where we're at.
Cool, perfect. I think more and more we're seeing businesses recognizing the need to diversify their teams. It was really interesting to read that 39% of the workforce in the energy industry are women, which is really good compared to the global average, which is actually 32%. However, I think when you look at the figures of women in senior leadership positions, it's only 19% against the global average of 35%. So that's where you can see that there's still a fair bit of work that needs to be done. What is the solution is such a simple question, but I think it's a really complex answer. In my opinion, there's a lot of 1% changes that can be made by individuals, but I think this needs to be accompanied by strategies and initiatives backed by organisations to build women into leadership positions. There are a lot of grad schemes out there, the likes of Iberdrola, Alinta, Acciona, and the Clean Energy Council are specific to Women in Renewables programme. I think the biggest thing that I would say in the conversations I have in the industry is the most important thing is organisations recognising that they need to invest time into discussing this and putting strategies together to offer an equal platform for women and diversifying their teams. And then, one thing that we feel we can give most advice on and add most value is the employment trends in the market, because this is obviously where we spend all of our time. The data comes from our experiences. It might not be what everyone's feeling, but it's what we're seeing at Vinova and what we're discussing. So there's been a huge surge in EPC market growth, new players coming through, more boutique EPCs and engineering businesses trying to grow the tier 2 and tier 3 market. We've seen a massive increase in EPC and engineering roles coming through as a result of that. Design for TX and substations and more specialist engineering roles. Therefore, if you are in that space, the market is really competitive from a hiring perspective, and then from a candidate perspective, there's going to be a lot of opportunity out there. So again, we advise before entering conversations about new opportunities, really understand what your drivers are and what you want in a new role, because it's going to be probably quite overwhelming with the options that you'll have. Another thing, another skill set that's really in high demand is the same as last quarter, what we saw with community engagement professionals. A lot of developers bringing this skill set in-house rather than relying on consultancies or their development managers to do this as a portion of their job. Community engagement, especially with changes in legislation in Queensland, the need to bring on a community engagement specialist from very early stages of the project is what's going to help these projects succeed. Another thing that we're discussing and seeing is a lot of salary increases. From the talent survey that we sent out recently, 40% of people that we spoke to got a pay rise in the last 12 months. So I think when it comes from a retention perspective, make sure you're speaking to your employees about pay reviews, and from a candidate perspective, like, you are very entitled to be putting those meetings in your boss's diaries and talking about pay reviews. Another trend that we're seeing is drawn out recruitment processes. So same as last quarter, it's a really competitive hiring market. If you're not moving quickly on a candidate that you like or multiple candidates that are in process, you are likely to lose out on them. Our three main bits of advice are, move quickly. You need to sell the opportunity to the candidates that you're speaking to, and wherever possible, meet your candidates face to face. Salary bandings as well. What we're seeing is that when hiring for a new position, people are using quite outdated salary bandings, and that's the reason why we do our REM reviews, to give context to everyone in the market about what is going to be competitive in the market from a salary perspective. And then, like Richard said earlier, there is a talent shortage, and therefore people need to be more flexible and compromising around the type of candidate that they're looking for. So the perfect candidate, the unicorn candidate, doesn't always exist, and you're in competition with a lot of people that are looking for that person. So we're encouraging people to look at candidates who tick 75% of your boxes, and in those candidates, they're going to feel like they've taken a step up. So you're going to get that fire in the belly. They're going to be more driven to do well in the role. And if you've taken a punt on someone and you're going to be upskilling them, you're going to get loyalty back from those people that join your businesses. And then the old age question, work from home policies. There are no hard and fast rules. Everyone is so different. Some people are going in 5 days a week. Some people are going in one. But from the talent survey that we did send out, we're seeing 65% of the market is in office between 3 to 5 days. So over to Rich.
Perfect. So some of the main issues that we're seeing, and you've probably heard of yourself, especially in Australia, it's very similar in other countries as well. Aging infrastructure is one of the main things. Our transmission lines some of them are decades old and weren't designed to handle these large-scale projects that we're building. So there's some key projects that are happening across Australia to try and amend this or fix this, or to upgrade the current infrastructure that we have. Location's a big one. I speak to a lot of developers and stuff which are overseas. I think the expectation is that Australia is this massive country and there's loads of sun, loads of wind. However, there isn't, to build a project, it needs to be close to a transmission line or a substation, and a lot of the land that is surrounding it is already put in place. So there is a lot of sort of competition around land at the moment in Australia and in all states. Blackout risks, most developers that we're working with are having a focus on battery storage. It's the hot topic right now. So there are risks around reliability. Slow approvals, tends to be the case every time. To get an energy project through a process, there's federal approvals, state approvals, and local approvals as well. So some of them that we see pushbacks on are environmental assessments, planning disputes, community pushback, and grid connection delays. So in terms of the snapshot, this is just a quick overview of where we're at. In 2024, there was 7.5 gig of new energy added. That split came from 4.3 gig of large-scale wind and solar projects and 3.2 gig from rooftop solar. Wind capacity is hit 13.3. There's a number of other projects that are in place at the moment that would increase that. The smallest at the moment is pumped hydro. It's sitting around 1.6 gigawatts. When projects like Snowy 2.0 finish, that will significantly increase the goalpost there and potentially be a goal for more pumped hydro projects to be built. Battery storage, we've had around 4 gig in the last 12 months, and that is increasing year on year. So this is the REM review that we mentioned at the start. I won't go into detail for each role. I will say that this is on our website. If you want access to this covers everything from leadership roles to development roles to finance roles to engineering, construction, and grid connection. covering everything from sort of low, medium, and high expectation. That is a base salary that is listed there. And STI covers what the bonus structure looks like and what the common bonus would be. The team at the moment, so this was written by myself and Katie. As I mentioned, we have Ollie, which covers engineering, and Luke, that covers construction as well. And look, thank you for taking the time to listen. We do appreciate there's a lot of information there. And not all of it might be relevant, but keen to hear any questions, if any, that you might have. Feel free to put them in the chat. So we'll just hang on for sort of around 5 minutes. If you do have questions, like I said, put them in the chat and we will answer as best as we can. It can be candidate focused, it can be client focused, whatever you want to know. If we don't know the answer, we can put some time aside after to go through.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Thanks, Rich and Kate, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming.
Okay. Just have one question regarding the, I guess, gender diversity that you guys touched on earlier. That is a problem that is affecting our organization as well. And I sit in a lot of hiring meetings and interviews as well. And when we do try to incorporate female candidates from an engineering background, often we run into the issue of them not having either enough local experience or enough local, I guess, cultural awareness as well at times.
Yeah.
And that sort of stops us from, proceeding further with them. Do you guys face similar issues in your process, or like any strategies to mitigate that?
Engineering for sure, like every market is a little bit different. I think across development, that sort of communication side and isn't a bigger challenge. In construction and engineering, it is for sure. It's difficult because the client's expectation is for someone to be or to have local experience, someone who knows how to do it, someone who can sort of land on their feet, because they don't have a big enough team to carry or train people up. I wouldn't say there is a fix at the moment that I know of. It's like my advice to a company, and is to invest in them, help them grow, and help them learn that stuff, because people will, and the loyalty you get from it is very different than you hiring someone else who's just going to sort of stay there for 12 to 24 months. But it's a challenge that's felt not just by yourself. There are more and more women coming through. It's just sort of a matter of time in that space.
Yeah, I think from like a granular level, maybe there's so many little things that you can do to attract female talent, and like whether that's whether you've got a talent team that are creating this talent pool, and they can do things like when they put a job advert out, even the amount, the type of language you use and certain words like are biased towards the feminine or the masculine. And there's so many little things that people don't think about when it comes to creating a talent pool of diverse candidates. So it's like, it is really something that people need to like dig into and think about. And when I speak to a client and they say that they'd like a diverse shortlist, it absolutely, especially on the engineering side, it definitely requires more of a headhunting process to really like dig in and find people that have got the right skill sets and people that you can upskill. It's hard.
Yeah, no, good insights there, especially regarding the tailoring of job ads.
Oh,
Yeah, currently, like we are, I think 45, 50 people now, and our ratio of male to female engineers is, or like even other, I guess, from other streams as well. In general, the business ratio is about maybe 10 to 1 or 10 to 2.
yeah.
So, yeah, we were recently going through some certifications as well, and they actually asked us to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a... Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, like, if you want some more time with the team or with your HR department, we could book in some time potentially and run through some tips or tricks. So I don't know why the light's gone off. Some tips or tricks or any advice we could offer, really.
Mm.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'll share your contact details with our HR
Yeah.
person.
Please do.
Perfect. Yeah, it's one of them. You just have to really think about it and try twice as hard to make sure you find the right people. But there definitely are candidates out there, and there are people who can do it. You just need to sort of tailor your approach and what your business has to offer.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I'll share your contact details with them. But we were engaged with their recruitment consultants in the past, and it did not yield fruitful results. You say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to drop you an email after this?
Yeah, sure. That
Sure.
would be great. Yeah.
Do you have me on LinkedIn? Just
I'm not sure. I'm actually speaking to Katie earlier.
Yeah, no, speaking of, we spoke last week, didn't we?
oh,
Yeah. But yeah, if you can drop your email.
Yeah, we'll send some info over and we'll have a chat.
Sounds good.
perfect.
All right.
Bye, mate.
Thanks so much for
Take
coming.
care. All the best.
See you later.